Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video. First off, I'm going to apologize in advance for this doom and gloom looking setup today. It's one of those California days where I'm pretty sure it's going to be gloomy like all day long. just the reality of where I live right now and the time of year, so I thought, fuck it, time to film now. Anyways, today we are doing a very cool tag that I've had to catch up on, by the way, because at the time of me filming this, I am dreadfully behind on TarotTube videos. I already talked about it in January, but I was out living my life, and in February it's kind of the same, so I have not been on the computer actually very much. So I'm behind, and because I'm behind, I discovered there was a tag that's really cool. It is Top Tarot Trumps, and I believe it was, if my notes are correct, it was Musings by Mascha. And sorry, I think my camera's, forget it. If it is what it is, it's already crooked, then it is what it is. But yeah, it's Musings by Mascha. I'm behind. I think at the time of me filming this, there's only the first 3 videos though, luckily, I think. So if I'm wrong, I might have to do another one after, but because I'm behind, I'm just going to combine the 3 into 1. So we are going to go over my top tarot trumps, which ones I like the best, of the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess. And how this tag also works is, I believe I'm supposed to pick 5. I've heard Mascha said in her video, I did look at her original intro video for the tag. She did say you could change the number if you had wanted to, like, just 3 to 7 to whatever numbers in between, but I'm just going to go with the original prompt. These are my top 5 depictions of, for today, the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess. So let's get into it. Of course, we're going to start with the Fool. Now, here's the thing. If you guys really dig through my videos, I do have the 22, I think it was called 22 faves, where I did basically narrow down like either 1 or 2 of my favorite major arcana. All the cards are ready, but there's been some changes since then. So there's some that you're gonna see that there's like more cards of, obviously. Some, my thoughts haven't really changed that far, but yeah. Anyways, as the series goes on, because there will be more videos of this, just so you know, there's gonna be that. So let's look over our Fools for today. I have 5. Now, these 2 I talked about already. These 2 I already talked about in that 22 faves video, so I don't necessarily want to repeat myself for too long on these. But basically, for the Prisma Visions, this is the tin version, the mini, by the way. I just really like this Fool because it's just otherworldly and very interesting for me. It's a very different take where you can almost think that this dog, which I don't know if you guys can tell because like the lighting is terrible, but there's like a dog head right here. He's swimming in the water. It's almost like the dog is the Fool instead. And the pelican's just like, you know, guarding the wayside to this like very magical feeling realm. And just interesting, and you never know what's going to happen or what the Fool's going to do, or how their journey is going to go off. It's just a really cool card, so I really like this. It's just very different from the traditional like person standing on the edge of a cliff thing. And I've talked about this baby before from the Guided Hand Tarot. I don't know if they're a baby, but they look like they're at least 1 or 2 or 3, maybe at most. And they're just, they have the funniest, cutest, like grumpy face. And yeah, I've talked about this before. It's just, this baby is just like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And that's why I like this card. It's just a very different way to show that Fool while still showing like youth and like having to learn, you know. So I really like those 2. But let's talk about the other Fools that I'm going to have here. My top, I guess, 5. Which way do I want to go with this? Maybe I'll start with this one. Okay. This beautiful Fool card is from the Spark and Pen Tarot. I did a video about this deck a little bit ago. It was like a, did I call it a walkthrough technically, or was it like a chatty flip through? I don't remember. I originally said this deck is out of print. By the way, it is not anymore. I think the creator is putting it back in print on her Etsy. If I remember, I'm going to link that down below. But anyways, the Fool. I think the reason why I really like this Fool card is just because of a few things. Like the colors, for one, I love the rainbow. And two, I think one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite Fools is like, obviously, as you can see here, it's like the school of fish. And what I like about it is that these fish are going off together on their journey. And in that way, they're all kind of the fools. They don't know what to expect or what will come for them when they're out on their journey. But they're working together to do it. And I just like that this is such a different depiction of that, but still showing like the essence of the card in very simple, in a very simple way. Basically, this whole deck is about that, but yeah, I really like this Fool and just love the colors and everything going on there. I guess I'll move these. Okay, here you go. Next up, the Fool. This is from the Disney Villains Tarot. This is Kronk. If you've never seen The Emperor's New Groove, I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but you probably should. This is like low-key, this is actually one of my favorite Disney movies. It's just so good. And Kronk as the Fool is honestly everything. Because like, look at his, the way he was drawn, his like very dazed face. But also just like, you see throughout the movie that even though it's Cusco that does become like, who does have to go on that like fool's journey for sure, Kronk also kind of goes through his own too. Like he is a foolish figure in that way. Like he's not taken very seriously. He's always having issues where he's literally having the angel and the devil on his shoulder, like trying to help him out and make him do things. And I just really like this as a depiction of the Fool because it's just very accurate, you know. And he is like a good figure and he learns like a lot. And I don't know. I really vibe with him being the Fool. So really, really like that. And then finally, the last Fool that I really, really love here is from, sorry, I'm like arranging these a bunch. Okay. And I don't even know if it's like centered. I'm just like talking into things like above me. So new layout, things I have to get used to. Anyways, this last Fool is from the Goblins and Gardens Tarot. These are the backs. I really like this Fool. As soon as this is also the image that's like on the box design for this deck, but I really like this Fool because I think I read it too in the guidebook a little bit about it, and I just think it's really good. Was that this like this goblin figure, right? He used to be doing, you know, the dungeon things and like that tower in the sky. And one day he's just like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I don't want to be in a dungeon anymore. I don't want to be like fighting adventurers anymore. I just want to go off into my garden and enjoy my life and go on to a new venture in my life. And I really like that. Not just because he's holding like a leek, which I love, and just like the flower. But I also just like the idea of this because this is a sign that you could be the Fool at any point in time in your life. You could start over at any time. And I just like that this deck depicts that in such a beautiful way. So for that reason, yeah, I just love this Fool and I love like looking at it. So these are my favorite Fools. And yeah, I'll leave him for a couple seconds as I get like my magicians ready. Interesting how I see the Fool though, I've noticed, is like very different ways of like looking at it. But interestingly, as you're going to see in a second, my magicians kind of follow a very specific theme, which is what I noticed, is that I like magicians that show their power, show that they are the ones who in control of the elements and themselves, and they are capable of doing anything. I like those magicians. They don't necessarily have to be in the typical as above, so below pose, because I did notice that the ones I picked are not depicting that, but they are still showing the elements, because I think that's the biggest thing with me, is that they are the master of all those things. So I noticed that as I was going about this experiment, I liked the magicians who showed their mastery and strength the most. So I have a few. Let's start with the one that I originally talked about from my major 22 faves video, which is Gandalf as the magician. I love this. I do love this. I do love that it's Gandalf, you know, and because I agree. This is the Lord of the Rings tarot, by the way. I love Gandalf as a figure. I do like that this is before his transformation, before he becomes Gandalf the White. He's still Gandalf the Gray, but he still was the master, like undoubtedly to anybody in the Fellowship and otherwise. He is in control. Even though you can see the ring is here and it's like trying to taunt him into taking it, but he is in control, and he says, no, I already have all the power I need. I don't need this extra malevolent force in my life. And that's, I don't know, it's just really good. It's really good. For me, it works. Yeah. But let's look at some other magicians that I did discover that I do really like. How do I do this? How do I want to do this? I really liked this magician. I think for the same reasons as Gandalf being the magician. With this lighting, it's really hard to see this card. Sorry. But this is from the Carrot Tarts Tarot. I really like this magician just because, like, you can tell by looking at them that there's some mystical, otherworldly figure and that they do have the power. Their hands and body is not necessarily as above, so below, although you have the hand here and the leg there. But I just like that it shows still all the elements, that they are master of their magic. You still see the infinity symbol at the top. You know, actually, I don't know if you guys can. It's just, again, terrible lighting today. Sorry, guys. But I just really like, I just really like this depiction of the magician. It just shows the power and the magic involved. Sometimes I think people show the magician card in the typical pose, but they don't always go into like the magical side of the magician, because it's literally in the name, the magician. Like you should be magical, but not all depictions I've noticed of the magicians show this like magic. I don't know. But yeah. So that's the Carrot Tarts Tarot. I also like, let me see. I kind of also like this magician from the Monsoon Tarot. This is a standard, but you guys might remember, I also have the mini. That's what I had first. I really like this magician also because it's showing the magic involved. But I like it too because it's just a different way of showing that power. Like they are the sleeper who is capable of altering and making beauty. Like you can see here, the rainbow that they, like the power that they emit is having all these, like making all these rainbows shoot out. And when it does, there's like beauty and life that's growing. But you can also see this monster creature in the water showing that like they are coming for the sleeper basically, but they cannot prevail because the magician will prevail. And it's just, I just think this is a really fascinating card. It kind of also, this version of it for the Monsoon Tarot also kind of reminds me of the Star card in some way. So that's just really interesting. And I just really like it. So yeah. And then what else? I have two more. This one is from the Guided Hand Tarot. Every time I see this magician, I just think that, I don't know, I just think that she's a badass. It doesn't necessarily, like, it shows the elemental symbols here, and it still has the infinity. There's no as above, so below. but you still get the sense that this is a very powerful magician-like figure. Obviously, it's like been distorted so that it looks like, the eyes are doing crazy stuff, but it's just really cool and really strong. As soon as I see this card, I know, yes, this is the power of the magician. There's strength here. Interesting how the magician actually intersects with strength now that I'm thinking about it. But anyways, I just really like the power associated with this. So this is always one of my favorites. And yeah. And finally, we have my last favorite magician, which comes from no one should be surprised here. This is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. And this is a very simple magician. So you wouldn't think that I would normally like this, especially because look, you still have all the associations like as above, so below. It's the elements and all of that. But I think why I really like this magician, and I always kind of gravitate towards it in some way, is because this is the magician that's showing the everyday person, right, has the power of this card in their palm. You have the power. You can do this. It's inside you. It's not just these magical figures, even though most of them are what I see for the magician. It's also that you have the power to have it. And I guess I just like that this shows that, the power and the mastery can come from you. It's more practical and grounded in that way. So yeah, I think that's why I like these magicians. They're just very interesting. They each have their own little bit to them. That's really, really cool. So I'll give you guys a second to analyze that. And I'm going to get ready with the High Priestess here. The High Priestess, I've noticed, the High Priestess was one where I noticed that I really like High Priestesses that are just like how the magician. I want them to be powerful and like to show their craft. I like the High Priestesses to show their mystery and their wonder and their otherworldliness. Like a lot of them just had the High Priestess who was just sitting there, that's a typical like RWS kind of look. And then there's like the two towers and stuff. But I liked the High Priestesses that were doing a little bit more with them, like playing on that more otherworldly side. Once again, from 22 faves, I did talk about these two here already, but I will go over them briefly again. This High Priestess comes from the Teeny Tiny Tarot. It is bridge size. I just really like this High Priestess, like I talked about, because it's different. You still see the pomegranates hidden behind this curtain, as it were. But the High Priestess, as you can see, is this eldritch being that is hiding underneath, inside. And I just like this depiction. That's how you show the otherworldly mystery in such a small and simple card. But it still shows like it's some other being that you can't fully understand. And this, of course, will always be my favorite, by far, depiction of the High Priestess, is also from the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. This High Priestess is everything. I've talked about this before, but it's this otherworldly being who looks into the mirror and there's this other universe inside there, but then you see the space around it. But then there's the hand here. So you think like, well, it must be a person, but it's not really, because look, they're looking at their reflection and it's not them. So it's a big mystery and wonder and depths of knowledge that you will never fully penetrate either way. But it's really cool. And it's just one of my favorite depictions ever. Always going to be. But I do have some other High Priestesses that I do like. The first one here is actually from a pretty old deck in the tarot community. It's not like this is like a new deck by any means. This is an Anima Mundi tarot. I think why I like, see, in the lighting, you can tell there's pomegranates here. So it still has the pomegranate in imagery. But I think the reason why I like this High Priestess is just because I love owls in general. And we know in at least Western society, because it's different depending on countries and all that jazz, the owl is usually seen as a symbol of wisdom. But this owl is still otherworldly and mysterious, especially being a barn owl. And I just like that there's like color callbacks to the original High Priestess here, right? This is a white, very white barn owl, but the background is black. So you still have the white and the black. And, you know, the scroll is still there, but it's very clear cut. And you know that this is some otherworldly owl that you will never be able to fully understand. So I just really like this one. This is one of the images I think of with the High Priestess. I also, let me see here. I also like this one from the Dream Vision Tarot. This is second edition, by the way, sorry. I really like this High Priestess because it also shows that otherworldly energy. I also like that this one shows still the moon, right? I like that it shows still the light and the dark. But this is also an unknowable figure that you don't know. But I also like this is just more dynamic. You know, the High Priestess is not sitting. They are standing and they're holding like this universe in their hand too. It's very cool. I always just get chills when I see this version. I don't know why. It's just really beautiful. And I think it's also just smart just because in the second edition, the way she did the writing is very dynamic and different. But you can see, right, it's still like the black and the white. Really simple touches, but it's really, really cool. So, and then also the light, by the way, in the forehead, the third eye, and illuminating in the dark and, you know, gaining the meanings and wisdoms is just really good. So always like this one too. And then finally, the last High Priestess that I really, really like more recently also comes from the Spark and Pen Tarot. So this is a High Priestess from that deck. Yep, there's a butt, so just just be aware there's a butt. But what I really like about this one, you see, you can't tell. Oh, see, never mind. In the light, you can tell. It's like this very particular shade of blue. Not blue, purple, sorry. And I do associate purple with the High Priestess and blue. So I do like that it's purple. I like that the moon is here. Why I think this is really cool is that you do not see this High Priestess's face, but you do see the third eye above their head. So they are still this otherworldly being that you won't ever understand. And this wolf is their guardian. And they also have the third eye. And they're aware and looking forward for the High Priestess, right? They're also aware and in the realm of that knowledge. It's almost like this. I didn't think about this actually when I was talking about this deck, but it's almost like this wolf is the voice for her. Like you'll never really know her, but the wolf will speak for her. I don't know why I get that vibe from that, but it's just a really cool and different depiction of the High Priestess. And it still gets its point across. It's so good. So yeah. Wow. Okay. This was that. It ended up being 23 minutes of me talking about all these. But next time, I'm hoping to be more on track. I'm going to keep an eye out for when Mascha does her Empress video. I already have some ideas of some of the Empresses more recently that I've really liked. Also, by the way, sorry if you hear like that car alarm going off. I live in a kind of busy neighborhood and we can always hear things like that when people are coming by. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you have this long, and I hope you're excited for the other videos. I've got some good cards, so I'm excited to talk about them. So until next time, everybody, bye.